Assalamu alaikum everybody. Today, as we discussed last time, we're going to start the passages, Quranic passages, the very first topic of syllabus of paper 1. The topics we are starting off are God in Himself, and we are going to do passage number 1 and passage number 2 today. So passage number 1, Verse of Throne, Ayat-ul-kursi, is taken from Surah Al-Baqarah. The second surah of the Holy Quran, and the verse number is 255. The translation, okay, first thing first, and that is how will you approach your theme and importance of passages. To be precise, there are two ways. Either as a typical way is, students go on to memorize the theme and importance of it, which is not the right idea. From my point of view, the best way is to try and understand the translation of the passage, and from there try to deduce the theme and importance of it. It's pretty easy. It's not a big deal. It's pretty much straightforward. Just go through the translation and try to understand what is this translation talking about, or how important it is in your life as a believer. And that is the way you will be able to easily deduce the theme and importance of the passage on your own. Okay, let's see how we're going to do that. Allah, there is no God but He. What does it say? It talks about Allah's unity and oneness. Simple as that. It talks about Tawheed, the living, the self-subsisting, eternal. What is this talking about? This is talking about Allah's unique attributes, that He is the living, He is self-subsisting, eternal. Self-subsisting means that Allah does not depend upon anybody else for His survival. He is independent, whereas everybody else is dependent on Almighty Allah. Eternal means that He is from ever to ever, forever. Okay. If you think about its importance as a believer, its importance is that it is essentially important for every believer to have a firm faith in the unity and oneness of Allah, because the opposite of unity and oneness of Allah is shirk, or setting partners with Allah, and that is the only unforgivable sin in the sight of Allah. Moreover, talking about the importance of Allah's unique attributes is, since Allah is self-subsisting, so that makes us dependent on Almighty Allah. So we should always look towards Almighty Allah for all our needs. That is the importance of it. So that's how it is easy to actually deduce the theme and importance of every passage on your own, without bothering to thinking about the memorization of theme and importance. Yes, you will have to memorize something over here, and that is only the reference that you will require to support your theme and importance, which is not that difficult. Talking about the reference about unity and oneness of Allah, Surah Ikhlas is, it gives you an easy reference in which it says, "Say He is Allah the One." Okay, so that is a good reference to support the concept or ideology of God's unity and oneness. Going further into this passage, no slumber can seize Him, nor sleep. That means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not really someone who gets tired or who feels sleepy as opposed to human beings. So that makes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unique once again. His are all things in the heaven and on earth, means that Allah is the owner of everything in the heaven and the earth. Okay, so He is the owner of everything. In terms of its importance, we need to be all the times going in front of Almighty Allah for any kind of our need, because Allah is the owner of everything. He is the one who can give, who can take anything from us, who can give us anything. So we should not ask other people for anything. We should only ask Almighty Allah for everything that we need. Who is there can intercede in His presence except as He permits? Intercession is obviously telling someone to give some favor to someone. Okay, no one can actually intercede except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permits that. Okay, He knows what is before or after or behind them, What that means is that Allah's knowledge is unlimited. And a word used for that, a specific word used for that is omniscience. So we say Allah is omniscient. So in this way, you should be able to, deduce the theme and importance of the passage pretty easily without, bothering much about in terms of memorizing its theme and importance. Okay, let's go further. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the theme and importance of it, so that you have further understanding of this, in a more appropriate way. Theme of this passage is God and Himself, and its main theme is Tawheed. As I mentioned previously, there is only one God, and that is Allah. Allah has unlimited knowledge and power. Allah is self-subsisting, which means that He does not depend on other, while everything depends on Him for its survival. He does not have any human weaknesses like sleep or being tired. He alone is the owner of the whole universe. He has the power to protect and guard the whole universe, and He does not feel tired in doing so. He is the Most High and Supreme. That is exactly what I explained to you while I went through it with you in terms of its, translation. When I read out the translation of it, I explained to you how to deduce the theme and importance of it. So this is the theme of it. Let's go and see what is the importance of it. So importance is Muslims should develop a strong belief in Tawheed, because Shirk, which is the opposite of Tawheed, is the only unpardonable sin, unforgivable sin in the sight of Allah. Muslims must develop an attitude of God consciousness, or taqwa. Taqwa means God consciousness, God-fearing behavior, God-fearing, heart. That is called a heart with taqwa in it. Okay. Why do Muslims need to have taqwa in themselves? Because they know that God, because of His unlimited knowledge, is watching them all the times. Because of His unlimited knowledge, knows everything about them. God knows our past, our present, our future as well. That's why believers need to develop an attitude of God consciousness. This way they can stay away from evil deeds and stay on the right path. Throne, as mentioned in the verse of throne, it represents Allah's power and authority. Okay, so believers should never bow down in front of any worldly power, okay, or any worldly ruler, but they should only bow down in front of Almighty Allah. One of the important aspects of this verse of throne is it's a source of protection as well. Prophet ﷺ has declared that anybody who recites Ayat-ul-kursi before going to bed, Allah will appoint an angel to protect him for the whole night, and Satan will not be able to approach him till dawn. So that is the complete theme and importance and explanation of verse of throne. Okay, the very first passage. Okay, and an easiest way to approach the theme and importance of any passage, rather going about, memorizing it or finding out some notes in the market or asking someone for the notes. Don't go for these shortcuts. Rather, depend on your own self, and that is exactly the best way to go about it. You will be given the translation of the passage in your CIE, so you will have that in front of you. Look at that. If you have the understanding of it, it's going to be pretty much easy for you to deduce its theme and importance on your own. Okay. All right. Going forward, the next passage is passage number 2. Okay. This passage is, let's go ahead and read out its translation. To him means to Allah, is due the primal origin of the heavens and the earth. Primal origin means that some basic initial point of anything is called primal origin. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala originated the universe. So we understand that Allah is the originator of the whole universe. Okay, He is the originator of the whole universe. So in terms of its theme, this passage mentions Allah as the originator of the whole universe. And importance is that we should have a strong belief that it is only Allah who originated the universe. So we should not think about any other being who could be the originator of the universe. So that makes our firm faith and belief in unity and oneness of Allah. Okay, one thing is common in the very first 5 passages, and that is all these passages will talk about Allah's unity and oneness. So you should remember this thing whenever a passage which is going to be appearing in the CIE, if it is about God and Himself, you are dead sure that it will tell you about God's unity and oneness. So you will write the theme right away. This passage talks about Allah's unity and oneness. Simple as that. And in terms of its importance, we need to have a firm faith and believe in Allah's unity and oneness, because the opposite of Allah's unity is shirk, which is the unpardonable sin in the sight of Almighty Allah. After this, it is logically proven fact that how can he have a son when he has no consort? Consort means wife. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is logically proving over here to those people who who made some illogical assumptions on their own that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a family relation with someone. So it's an answer to all those people. Simple as that. This is a logical answer to those people. Okay. So similarly, we will deduce over here in terms of theme that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has logically proved in this passage that since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have any wife, so how can he have a son? Okay. So in terms of its importance, believers should always condemn shirk. Why? Because claiming anybody as a partner to Allah, as a family member of Allah, is shirk. A believer should always condemn shirk. He created all things and He has full knowledge of all things. So once again, Allah is omniscient. Allah is the creator of all the things, and He is also omniscient because He has full knowledge. He has unlimited knowledge of all things. That is Allah, your Lord. There is no God but He. See, once again, the mentioning of unity and oneness of Allah is over here coming up in this passage, as I told you before. The creator of all things. Allah's unique attribute, that He is the creator of all things. Then worship Him. So it is instructed over here explicitly that believers should remember that it is important for them to worship only Allah and should not set partners with Allah, because that is shirk once again. Okay? And He has the power to dispose of all affairs. So once again, power, authority, disposing of all affairs means that He has the ability to do everything that He wants to do. Okay? So in terms of its importance, believers should always refer to Almighty Allah for all their requirements, all their needs. That is the importance part of it. Okay? And then no vision can grasp Him, but His grasp is over all visions. So what that means is that human eye is unable to watch Almighty Allah, whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has grasp over all the things that are existing in the whole universe. Okay. So finally, He is above all comprehension. What that means is human mind is not really good enough or strong enough to comprehend Almighty Allah's personality, His being. Yet Allah is acquainted with all things. What that means is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the understanding of everything. He knows everything. He is aware of everything. So that this will make up, in terms of its importance, this thing will make a believer's faith more strong in terms of Allah's powers, and also it will make a believer more God-fearing. A believer will have a more God-conscious attitude as well, because of the fact that believer have a strong faith that Allah is watching everything, Allah knows everything. So believer will try to do good deeds and stay away from all the evil deeds in his lifetime. Okay, so that's how you can easily draw or deduce the theme and importance of a passage by only understanding its translation, rather going for memorizing the theme or importance of it. Anyways, I'm gonna show you the theme and importance of it as well. That will obviously exactly tell you what we have discussed so far in terms of its understanding of the translation. So theme of this passage is God in himself, as you already know. It talks about the unity and oneness of Allah and his unique attributes of being the originator and creator of the universe, as discussed previously. A logical answer to wrong assumptions about God having any family relation with anyone is given over here by saying that how can Allah have a son when he has no wife? Allah has full knowledge of everything. So that makes Allah omniscient. No human eye has the ability to see Allah, but He is watching everything all the times. Moreover, human mind are not good enough or not strong enough to understand God's being or God's personality, whereas Allah sees and understands everything. Talking about its importance, theme of this passage inspires believers to worship none but Allah. Being the sole creator and originator of the universe, believers must condemn shirk, that is, setting partners with Allah, as it is the only unpardonable sin in the sight of Allah. As discussed previously, they should develop a sense of piety or taqwa, which means God consciousness, as they know that God is watching them all the times. Okay. Moreover, you can add one more importance to this this passage importance, and that is a believer should always depend on Almighty Allah for his needs. Okay, because it is only Almighty Allah who has the power to dispose of all affairs. What that means is it's only Almighty Allah who can actually answer a believer's prayer, who can help a believer in his difficult times, who can fulfill the needs of a believer, to be precise, to add to it. Simple as that. And talking about the references, you can easily memorize small references from your book. There are so many references given over there. Or if you can find the reference within the passage itself, because you'll be given 3 passages over there, so you can easily find a reference within the passages as well. Or if you can memorize simple and easy small references, that will be good enough for you to write to incorporate that in the theme or importance of your answer. Okay, I hope that's pretty much useful to you in terms of your understanding of how to attempt the passages. And in my upcoming videos, I'm going to be telling you about the passage number 3 and 4. Okay, so till then, take care of yourself. Goodbye.